Hey there, YouTube. Shady Bill's Garage here. We're going to do a quick review of my son's 2018 Kawasaki KLX 140G. Hey, Chris, what do you think of your KLX 140G?
It's fun.
It's fun. So what we have here, it's basically a kid's bike frame, but with full-size 21-inch, as you see on my bike, it has 21-inch front and 18-inch rear tires. So it gives it a real amount of ground clearance. He actually has more ground clearance on this bike here than I have on my WR250. I know we crossed some train tracks this last weekend we were riding, and I hit my skid plate. He didn't hit it all. Now I'm also a fat ass and he's not, but it's a good bike. Chris is now 14 years old, and how tall are you, Chris? 5'5", 5'6"?
5'5".
5'5". He got this when he was 5'1", I would say, when he was a little 12. And this was a bike he had after he had a Yamaha TTR 125. Before they had a CRF 100, and before that was a CRF 80. Before that he had the TTR 90 before that. So this bike is built as a light-duty bike. So the frame is smaller, but it has like basically full-size suspension. But the power is about what it was on his TTR 125. It's really not a powerhouse, but it has front disc brakes, which the other bikes don't have. It has rear disc brakes, which the other bikes in this category don't have. It is quiet. Chris, you want to start it up? We've purposely left it stock so that he can ride in the woods behind the house and not piss people off. You're not really going to pick up any power by putting a pipe on these things anyway, of any noticeable difference. But the downfalls to this bike are some of the parts on it are a little more light duty than you would get on a full size bike. This bike's a 2018. He's ridden it pretty hard, but only for 2 years. These are still the original tires. As you can tell, the front is still in great shape. The back is probably about half worn now. He's never ridden on a street. It's always in the dirt. But what would we have to replace? We have to replace the rear chain because it's stretched within, I'd say, 400 or 500 miles of use on this bike. The chain is stretched to the service limit. We also changed the front sprocket to a smaller front sprocket, which gave it a little more go on hills. We had to change the front handlebars because the first time he dropped them, even with bark busters on, they bent like a wet noodle. And I did recently just do the back brakes and the rear wheel bearings. They were starting to get a little bit of play. But except for that, this thing has been unbelievably reliable. It's never let us down. We've ridden lost trails in Pennsylvania probably 20 or 30 times. We've ridden the woods in North Jersey. We've went to the Hatfield-McCoy trails in West Virginia. We did 3 days there. Riding from Man to Gilbert and back every day a couple times. It'll do. I noticed my GPS. He's definitely been over 50 miles an hour on it. The bike goes pretty well. At his weight, the lack of power is not a big deal. But he rode his friend's bike this past weekend, and I think we're upgrading. I think this might be the last week of this bike. It might be going up for sale. Want to tell the audience what you're getting? We're going to do a comparison if you get it.
No, I don't remember what I got.
We're looking at a Yamaha TTR 230. What did you think of that bike, Chris?
It was fun. It had a lot more power than this.
What about the seat height? It's comparable, different?
A little bit higher. I can still flat foot it.
Okay, you can still flat foot it, and you can see at 5'5", he can flat foot this bike. So this bike is definitely better for lighter riders. Totally good for him still, but we're going to upgrade a little bit. He rides pretty hard, and it's been just a really, really good, reliable bike. Chris, do you have anything to say about it?
It's like powered's fine, but like it can, like when you're going up a hill, sometimes like if you're in a higher gear, like a little bit too high of a gear, you can stall out. But that's really it.
Yeah, this thing, if you gear it right, just by changing the gear to 1, we've went up every trail at all the ATV parks we've gone to. We've ridden at Hatfield-McCoy, getting to the top of hills that people were shocked that he was getting up without a four-wheel drive quad. It just it just goes. And so stay tuned, and in a couple days there may be a comparison video putting this thing next to a Yamaha 230 to see the pros and cons between each bike. All right, subscribe. Thanks.